Last video I went ahead and walked you guys through my first impressions of No Man's Sky VR, and as it was amazing, it's just a small portion of this update. Today we pull our focus to the rest of Beyond and how exactly it has changed the game for the better. It's not a perfect update, it has many problems, but we're going to talk about that in a bit. Let's first talk about the most obvious improvement, the graphics. As you know, thanks to VR, the scaling of everything has been increased to a pretty insane degree, making you feel much smaller as it should be. Actually, graphic fidelity has been improved across the board. Crisper textures on ships, taller grass on planets. The saturated colors have returned but in greater variety. Building textures, almost every aspect of the game has more vivid details. The storms actually feel like serious weather conditions, sometimes to the point of making flying very difficult. It limits your vision pretty badly, and this in VR is beyond insane. It's actually probably one of my more memorable experiences in VR in this game. If you're actually a returning player and are finding it hard to grasp all the new mechanics, I highly recommend starting a new game, or at least go play on creative mode, at least until you learn the new gameplay systems. Now I know it can be very annoying leaving all your hard-earned credits and everything behind, but it's definitely worth doing and putting the time in, at least for a few hours, so you can get adjusted to the game, and then you can always go back to your old save whenever you please. All of these graphic changes are nice, but what really adds to the experience is the new overhauled UI menus. Take the codex for instance. Instead of just words on the screen, you're actually able to see the planets in vivid detail, colors and all, so it's easier to tell what kind of planet is what, even ones you haven't discovered. Better yet, when you click on a planet, you can actually see all the flora, all the fauna, and materials, and going even a step further, they are all actually viewable in 3D form now, and they include more in-depth descriptions, which are really impressively done. Better yet, on the undiscovered wildlife page, you can even see where their known location is, like for instance, if they're in a cave, or if they're underwater, or if they're on ground, and you can actually also see how rare they are to find. This makes logging your discoveries much more fluid, and it's easily one of my favorite changes to the game. The way you discover new compounds has also been drastically overhauled. Now all discovered materials will appear in a periodic table of sorts. If you're unaware of how to acquire said materials, go into your menu and click on whichever item you're trying to find, and you'll simply be pointed in the right direction. This goes for all your craftable items, including your exosuit and starship gear. This makes it much easier to learn about all the many items that are in the game. A major part of exploration games is the feeling of a living, breathing world, and Beyond adds just that in various ways, one being the more realistic behaviors of wildlife. For example, on my current home planet, the flying creatures actually like to dive into the ground and the water. Now this could be a bug given, but I don't think so, as all wildlife acts different. You'll see them eating grass, going up to the water, and much more. As you know, you're also able to tame these animals and actually mount them too. This doesn't include underwater creatures sadly, but it's actually very easy to do. Simply scan the animal you wish to tame, see what bait they like, and craft it, and just throw it in their direction. After that, you'll get an option to either mount them or milk them, whatever you're into. This really helps to implement a more interesting universe, encouraging you to log all the wildlife you come across, especially with the improvement to the scanning. That is really helpful too. But there are some really weird creatures. Take one my friend Stiggs has found, which actually kind of reminded him of my channel, and I kind of tend to agree. The variation between the fauna and flora overall has just been improved to an insane degree. Now you'll come across the weirdest looking creatures, ones you've never seen in the universe of No Man's Sky, and this really adds to the exploration. This isn't the only system that adds to the world though. The addition of walking NPCs who can now actually be found wandering around on the space stations, interacting with their environment, sitting in the chairs, it's really cool. They even react to emotes and also can be found on the many planets as well, improving exploration even further. The entire language learning system has also been changed up quite a bit, making it much more efficient to learn the many words in the game, which there are more words now that came with Beyond. I personally love this change, though I've yet to fully explore it. If you'd be interested in a guide type of video going more in depth on everything, be sure to let me know in the comments below. I know a lot of people are upset at the new electricity building system, and understandably so. It can be frustrating have the entirety of your base unfunctional, but this system will in the long term improve base building, adding a huge increase into the many possibilities. Building has been improved in many ways, more than one. They even added a new building camera, giving you a lot more control over how you want to place your building parts. Inventory management used to be a pain in my ass. Now it's actually so much better, giving you the ability to hold more materials at a time, to move around, installed upgrade modules. It's all around faster and more efficient, allowing you to get right back to playing the actual game a lot quicker. All these big changes are fantastic, but the glue that really holds this entire update all together are the small changes you might not notice. Like the way you upgrade your character and ships, which is actually now in the form of skill trees. Most of everything you need can be found on the Nexus. This is actually the game's social hub. If you'd like more info on that, check out my previous No Man's Sky video. Speaking of, I actually have a whole playlist dedicated to No Man's Sky. Feel free to check it out if you want. Now, the cooking system is also a really cool addition. You can kill various wildlife to acquire ingredients, and you can also pull plants, which can also be used as ingredients, as well as milk. And I'll make a guide going in more detail on this fairly soon. One thing I noticed pretty much right away is the first loading screen when you're floating through the galaxy. Now you can actually see the loading progress underneath the solar system names. I don't think that was there before Beyond. Maybe I'm wrong. If they were there before, let me know. But I'm fairly certain I remember myself thinking, man, I really wish there was a progress to this loading, and now there actually is, which brings me to my loading problem. I'm a little bit iffy on the loading times. They can be pretty bad, especially when you're trying to jump to another system. It can take 2-3 minutes sometimes just to load, and when you're in VR, that can be a little bit tiresome on the eyes, but still, it's not a major deal. They have been releasing patch after patch after patch, so you have to give them you gotta give them credit. They've been working non-stop to fix all these issues, which is pretty fantastic. This is a free update. They don't even have to be working as hard as they are, but they are because they love the community and the game, which makes them one of the best developers in my opinion. There's also the new galactic map, which I'm not sure how I feel about yet. I kinda miss being able to float through the map in the galaxy. That would have been really interesting in VR, though it may have caused some unseen problems, and that's probably the reason why they had to create an entire new map. It gets the job done, don't get me wrong, but it's gonna take some time for me to get used to it. The one thing that really used to frustrate me beyond belief was the fact that you couldn't actually see if you've already spoken to a certain life form. Now they actually resolved this. They've added an indicator underneath their name that'll actually tell you if you visited them already. This is a really nice change. Speaking of the aliens, there's more variety when it comes to their appearance. Some that are entirely different species, at least that's how it seems, and I really hope this comes as customizable gear for our characters later down the road. That would be really badass. I would love to look like a Medusa type of alien like this one here. It's one of my new favorites. I love this guy, even though there's no use for him yet. I'm thinking they're gonna add slowly more things to do in the Nexus to give all these NPCs more reason to be here. I thought they were all gonna be different shops, but they aren't. There's really no purpose to them yet, which is another negative I have, but I do believe they're actually there for a reason, obviously, so they're gonna probably add that stuff in a later date. Now, a couple negatives about the game. The bugs. The bugs are insane. The Nexus, people can fly through the Nexus. Well, not people. Pirate NPCs have been flying through the Nexus, shooting, and it's just chaotic sometimes. There's so many bugs, but that's to be expected. This update is huge. Of course, there's gonna be a shitload of bugs. I have this annoying one where I can't get rid of this tutorial pop-up menu. Even when I use an upgrade module like it instructs me to do, it still doesn't go away. For some, this actually resolves the problem by deleting the module, but to me, that hasn't resolved any problems, and it just keeps popping up, which in VR is ridiculously annoying. That being said, they are, like I said, releasing patch after patch, so we can't really complain. It's not like they're ignoring us or ignoring the problems. They're on it like that. They're fixing the problems really quick, and it's awesome, honestly. It's some dedication. We should just give them some space, let them get some well-deserved rest, and then they can come back stronger and just fix the game altogether, which I guarantee you they are working on it as we speak. The Hello Games team are really hard workers. They dedicate themselves to their titles because they're very passionate about it, and that's a good dev team right there. This update is huge, and I'm sure I've missed a few things, including all the new materials that you get from destroying asteroids and rocks, and the new overheat mechanic that actually makes you pay attention to the heat gauge. The hotter it is, the more damage it will cause, so balancing it is key. This adds more, you just gotta pay attention more, which gets you into the game. So much more has been added, but I hope I was able to cover the most important features. If I missed anything, please be sure to let me know. Before I get back to exploring this vast galaxy, I just want to tell you guys something. I have a weekly, sometimes weekly gaming news series. I say sometimes because when games like No Man's Sky comes out or Borderlands 3 comes out, I'll dedicate a week or two solely to the game, but I always usually have a weekly release. I'll be posting my third episode episode of Gaming from the Abyss soon. So if you're new and actually interested, be sure to subscribe. I usually post every 3 days, but that can change from twice in one day to 4 days. If it's a bigger video, maybe 5, but it's always weekly uploads. Thank you guys for watching. If you'd like to see more No Man's Sky videos, show me by hitting that like button. It really helps me out. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family, credit cards in the scammers.